Spotify created this like scammy environment where all these third-party playlists get bought. If you give me and the capability my company has, how much money could you give me to take a talented artist with a low fan base to get them into a situation where now it's a sustainable business?
Yeah.
The number I think is $250,000. Music is not a commodity; it's a luxury product. Beyonce wasn't Beyonce until they marketed Beyonce. Now you have 100,000 fans that are actually engaged with you.
Yeah.
Give them what you think is really you.
Here, we're going to be going over some of the things you could do to create a digital demand, how to market yourself to set yourself up for success as an artist. Because I feel like a lot of artists that make music, they can make the music that's easy, but getting people to listen to the music is the hard part. So we're finna talk about it. So I got Mixed by Gabriel, and I don't want to mess up your name, man. Say it one more time so I can pick up on it. Matei. He is a digital marketing guy. My boy Gabriel say he's one of the best. So we're going to talk about it. I got Dre Sway here and I got the official Ace. So we're finna sit here and talk. Since you're the digital guy, what's the most important thing for upcoming artists right now when it comes to like online or creating a digital footprint?
So what I want artists to think about in digital is that the digital world is just your digital representation of your physical brand, right? And you better leverage that because we live in the attention economy. So to get your music out there, or I don't care what you sell, you could be selling donuts and pastries or jeans or t-shirts. If you want to get your product out there, you got to grab people's attention, and then hopefully you convert that attention into paying customers. One or two ways to get attention. You can get out there with a Bluetooth speaker on the street level and just start singing, rapping, whatever. Maybe you captivate people. They scan your QR code, whatever. Now they're your fan, blah, 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 right? Or you can run digital ads. But, my company has run millions of dollars worth of ads, and I can tell you the number, dollar for dollar, is the cheapest way to gain people's attention and really target for people's attention is through ads, right? But artists have to understand is that you got to create this demand. Like I said, I like to give this analogy that I'm going to go back to the donuts. Imagine you got a donut shop. You're trying to compete with Dunkin' Donuts. And you got the strawberry fill, you got the Boston cream, you got the chocolate glaze and whatever glaze. Those are your singles. The store, that's your album. But you're on the street where there's not just Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks on there and Krispy Kreme. You got 50 other donut bakery shops on the same damn 3 blocks in Manhattan. That's how saturated the game is. So imagine going through like a block of Manhattan when you got 100 different stores. Well, guess what? 80 of these stores are all donut shops. Why do you think somebody's going to come to your donut shop and buy your strawberry cream donut? Even if you're downtown Manhattan, which is the most foot traffic on this planet, right? So you're going to have to create some attention, run ads, talk about your brand, your beliefs, why people should listen to your music. It starts, saying there. It's the same thing with Shark Tank. Nobody goes on the Shark Tank and gets a deal from any of the sharks unless they're already selling product, unless they already have something that's proven. Right. So that's kind of like a next level conversation. But the digital, like I said, will not only do you have to create content and post every day because it's kind of like your organic representation of yourself. And once you start running ads and getting new people and fans to your pages, that's where they start consuming once you get them there. But like I said, in the digital ads, if you know what you're doing, you could like surgically target the type of people that you believe should be listening to music and will probably fuck with your music. You can get them to your pages, and then once they're there, then you can engage with them through daily, hopefully twice a day posting. And if you can't do that in 2022, you're just going to have an uphill battle because there's thousands of other talented artists that are willing to do it and are doing it right.
Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, like a lot of artists that I see and have conversations with or just observe, and they just feel like the music is supposed to be enough, right? That's their whole standpoint. And they also feel like they make music for everybody, all right? And that is mistake number one, right? Because everybody thinks they're like super talented, right? You can be the best artist and make country, gospel, R&B, trap, pop, everything. But you have no identity, right? Unless you can build an identity around that, because your fan base is too spread out. So it's kind of hard to find your target demographic, right?
Yeah.
So it would be better for you to work with an artist that has a budget and has an idea of their fan base versus someone that has no clear identity, right?
So we can work with both, but the one that has no clear identity better have a big budget because we're going to have to use that budget to spend money to figure out what his brand is, right? Like it come to me with a lot of money and you're like, you're just this, I don't know, like an entitled artist, like I'm the best, but I could do country, I could do every genre because I get that all the time. I could do I'm that talented. I'm like, okay, cool, but that's gonna be a problem because I always ask them, name me one artist that's out there right now that's doing every genre, that's A-list artist and it's crushing it. You can't. I'm not saying they're not there, and maybe they've gotten over time. They started with one genre, grew their, maybe Lady Gaga is the closest thing I can think of. She started with pop. She may do like a quasi country song, whatever. She'll do an EDM joint, but there's no artists that are doing that, and it's because the market will determine what people like. So it's easy if you're a hip hop artist, it's easier to get going with hip hop. I'm not saying copycat somebody else because that's not also gonna really work in your favor, but like stick to hip hop, and then it's easier to target your fans. Because this is what I tell any business that I ever worked with in the past, marketing. I always told them, who do you think would listen to your music? And let's say it's your hip hop fan that listen to like conscious hip hop. Okay, what type of food are they gonna like? What type of stores do they go to? What type of clothes do they like? What type of books do they read? What type of shows do they watch? If you can kind of think about it from that perspective, and honestly, there's going to be some variations, but if you narrow down top 5 of each one of those like brand sectors that I mentioned, now you got a good idea of how to market. Because let's say all conscious hip hop fans just like going to Foot Locker to shop for their shoes. Okay, boom, there's an idea. Fucking at the minimal level, post up in front of Foot Locker and start handing out your CDs, and well, not today anymore, but like your QR cards and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So there's one thing about that, and that's why to your question, it's better to narrow down, because if you don't narrow down, it's still potentially possible. It's going to be expensive as fuck. You better have 100 people on the street going to all these different, some variety of stores and spots. If you were talking about a physical level, just to engage with those type of people that will potentially like that type of music. If you're telling me, if the artist is telling me, oh, I can do anything, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a huge problem. I would love for you to talk about the concept of going viral or popping off of one single without putting any money behind it. Just because a lot of people tend to have this concept that that's like an actual thing. So I'd love for you to like touch on that if you could. Just the concept of, you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. It's super rare, probably non-existent, that somebody could go viral just with never doing anything before, right? Or even say, I just decided to be an artist a month ago. I just put up my first 5 songs. I've never done shit, and one goes viral. I mean, you might as well play the lottery, the Mega Millions. That's go viral. However, we do have plenty of clients that have over the years built a decent fan base. I'm talking about 40,000 like actual people that listen to. I'm not saying super fans. They're like buy merch and all that, but just like 40,000 engaged people across different platforms. And if they are crushing it by posting daily, let's say on TikTok right now, that is a platform that has a better chance for you to go viral than any other. Even though the reels and on TikTok, on Instagram and Facebook are trying to do the same thing, but we have some clients that can go viral, and to the perception of the fan, it's like, okay, that one single is going for them. That's cool. But then how do you convert that into a sustainable career off of that?
Right.
It's possible to go viral, but it's never possible, in my opinion, to go viral without having some sort of a base. Even that, Bad Bobby, whatever his name is, like Cash Me Outside. That? They're like, well, she went viral, then she had a career, but think about the Dr. Phil show, the amount of fans and eyes it has on that show on the daily. And that network is spending millions in marketing costs. So she got lucky to be on that show and lucky that she did go viral, however she went viral off that, stupid meme. And then somebody, which wasn't her initially, you can look it up and research it, a smart, music business team or manager were like, yo, so you also like to rap? All right, if you work with us, we'll make you into something, because right now you got a lot of attention on you. So let's convert that attention into something that's monetizable. But it wasn't like she just got up and went viral. Like that shit is super. I don't think it ever happens. You don't just put out a song, go viral. You have to build some type of a base or leverage somebody else's business. Like, hey, you can maybe your Drake's manager is your cousin, and they fuck with you real hard. Okay, that's leverage. Drake is like, oh yeah, I actually like this song. Okay, but again, like how frequently is that going to happen? You know what I'm saying? So there's, of course, possibilities out there, but I wouldn't bank on that strategy. It's stupid.
Yeah. Drees, you got a question for him?
No, I agree with most of what he said, to be honest.
Because I know you on TikTok heavy, trying to like figure out how the best content for you to post with your music to push people to your music. So Matei, what type of budget would you think that an upcoming artist around, let's say they have like 2,000 TikTok followers or Instagram followers, what type of budget do you think they need to put together to try to push their music to at least double or triple their fan base?
To double or triple, it's a hard question to answer. If I had to give you a number to say, okay, if you like if you give me and the capability my company has, how much money could you give me to take a talented artist with a low fan base to get him into a situation where now it's a sustainable business? The number I think is $250,000. Not saying all of them go to digital marketing, but there's a number of ways of doing it. Like if you have at least, let's call it a $1,500 a month budget, and you can intelligently and strategically run ads as well as posting every single day, and you keep consistent with that, you know how to target realistically maybe in 9 months to a year. And again, you market strategically, meaning you go to your localized area or at most US. Maybe a situation where now we can start retargeting your fans if your music is good, and start maybe buying a little bit of merch, getting more opportunities to do shows and things like that. Where a lot of artists get caught up with the FOMO mentality, or they hired the wrong marketer, doesn't know what the hell they're doing. They start marketing their YouTube video, for example, and their marketer gets some fucking views from India or Bangladesh. Because they're like, how much can you give me 1 million views for? And I don't want no bots. Okay, you don't want no bots? Okay, let me get you, a fraction of a penny per view out in India, because it's possible. But it's like, when are people from India going to come to see you perform here? It's not going to happen anytime soon, probably ever. You're going to have to go over there if your fan base wants to perform. So you have to be strategic in that way, and there's many different ways to get to it. And again, if you have a sustainable budget and you can do it, consistency is the key. So again, even if you have $500, like the business that I built, I started with $300 per month. This was back in 2018. Basically, it's $10 a day, every single day, posting all my content about marketing. But mind you, I had 5 years of digital marketing experience from other companies that were successful. I spent already about $100,000 on ads to learn what to do and what not to do.
See, and you saying you spent over $100K to learn how to do this and how to make stuff move. I feel like a lot of artists, they don't want to invest $1,000, right? Because a lot of artists that I talk to, they only want to invest the amount of money that they feel they can get back quickly, right? And that's not a good business model for artists, because I think a lot of artists only see themselves as artists versus businesses, and they don't understand that
that's what it is.
You gotta market your business, right? The music is the product that's on the shelves, right? So you got to be able to sell this brand. And at the end of the day, it's like a lot of artists don't know their brand, because it's artists I know, they want to, for example, like I'm pretty sure you're familiar with people using vocal presets or wanting to sound like their favorite rappers and stuff, right? So they want to follow that blueprint, and they think like they're only successful because they got this microphone, this vocal chain, they use this producer. But they not understanding that when Lil Baby dropped his last album, they was like, man, Lil Baby ads are everywhere. That's because they're trying to get the most out of his project. They put a lot of money, they gave him a lot of money, so they're going to spend a lot of money to make a lot of money back. But it's either hit or miss. But I think like a lot of people don't want to put the money in. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what would you say to somebody that don't really want to put the money in, but could try to figure out a way to build a fan base organically?
It's money or time, or both. Time is equivalent to money, because like, let's say you work at Starbucks, you make $15 an hour. Okay, your time is worth $15 an hour. But okay, if you're not willing to pull in $1 into a video production team to post every day, or like on any ads, like I said, do the Bluetooth speaker way. If you think they're that talented, go to your biggest city, post up every day, start singing or rapping, maybe throw a couple of covers or like, remixes of songs that people recognize, so you can capture their attention, then do your own. But that's one way to do it, or start going to showcases. Or there are examples of where people were able to do that. It just took a very, very long time. But if you combine it with money, it just accelerates it, because you can still be doing them on the physical level. That's another thing, right? A lot of times we're just discussing digital marketing, and I could just be talking about that because that's what my company does. But every time we get a client on board, I'm like, okay, we're going to be running these ads for you. We're going to be getting you a lot of attention on your Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and all that. But I'm hoping that you and your team, or if it's just you right now as an artist, you better be out there physically and getting in front of real human beings and your potential fans to show them your personality and what you got. Because and the way you combine the two is, let's say you're out there with a street team. Let's say you sound like, I'm going to go back to the conscious hip hop example. I'm like a big fan, Joey Badass. Let's say he's got a show in Brooklyn, and you go to that show, and there's people wrapped around the building about to go see him perform. Approach him respectfully, don't get no bullshit trouble, but like approaching like, yo, if you fuck with Joey Badass, maybe you can consider listening to me. Give him a card, or be like, scan the QR code, listen to it later. I don't want to bother you.
Yeah.
If you capture those scans, my company can pixel that information, and then we can retarget all those people. You got them to scan your card. We could target them for the next 5 weeks with your ads, with your music, YouTube, Instagram, all of that.
Yeah.
Back into your world. And guess what? If they already interacted with you at that line, they're gonna be like, damn, y'all remember that artist. He approached me. I didn't realize his music was that good once they hear the ad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm getting off a tangent here, but if you're not willing to spend $1 on digital or whatever else, then if you're that talented, that get out there on the street level, start performing, get a Bluetooth speaker and a mic on Amazon.
And that and the thing about that's content though. Going out there with a Bluetooth speaker, and that's content for TikTok reels. You know what I'm saying? People might stop and want to rap with you or ask you what you're rapping. Because you first got to pique the interest, right? Absolutely. And then the thing you said about the QR code is actually like a genius thing for marketing, because people tend to scan those. I'd be tempted to scan random ones that I see. You know what I'm saying? You can just put the camera over it and it's gonna tell you what it is, right? And take you straight to it. So that's definitely a good marketing gem right there alone, because you can put that on stickers, whatever, pass those out. And then you said, like, if you make music similar to Joey Badass, you go to the concert or stand in the line and just talk to people. That's like the Spotify or the YouTube suggested algorithm right there in real life. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, you know what I'm saying? So like that's actually a great idea right there for
or better yet, do the performing thing but outside the Joey Badass concert.
Yeah, that would be lit. That would be very smart. Yeah, because somebody else is probably gonna record you and put it on TikTok. They can be like, yo, I'm at the Joey Badass concert and this is happening outside right now. They're either gonna fuck with it or they're gonna clown it, but either way it go, you're getting the promotion on somebody else's platform. Like the person that's recording you could have 20,000 on TikTok, 1 million on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, before you go home, you might be viral the next day. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends, right? So it's all about creating the content and having to be, you know what I'm saying? Like it's interesting, because I feel like most artists just struggle with the fact, like, creating content. They overthink it and they don't really want to be themselves because they're more worried about if a person's gonna judge them. So that's the thing. So like, Ace, like, what do you think about the artists that you record? Because I know you record a lot of artists out there in Chicago. So it's like, do they put money behind their music, or do they just record the music, shoot the video, and just let that be it?
There's a certain amount of people. I got a couple people that put at least, like, it's not too much, but at least like $5,000 to $2,000, $500 to $2,000. They're not really out here promoting, bro. They just out here recording, just thinking that it's gonna blow up. Really.
Hey, let me ask you this, Ace. How much, like, from starting from scratch, mixing and mastering, all of that? Let's say you got to pay for the instrumental, you want to, own it outright, not lease it.
Right.
How much does the product cost?
I'm not really a producer right now, but they can come to me for like $30 an hour.
Okay, so Gabe, how much is one of your instrumentals outright?
1,000.
Okay, so let's say 1,000. Let's call another 500.
Oh, yeah, I said that was hilarious.
You pay $50 to $100 on Fiverr, get an album cover, whatever. Let's say it costs $2,000 for a dope ass song as a product to be ready to release just in digital streaming platforms. What I tell artists is you better do the 90-10 rule, meaning 10% of the money is spent on your product, 90% is spent on marketing, at least in stages. Yeah. So if they're willing to spend $1,000 or $2,000 per song, they better have another $10,000 to market it. And
that's a good rule. That's a good rule.
Yeah.
10 and 90.
Yeah.
And that's for any business trying to start. I could tell you, I was successful in energy efficiency with a company with 60, employees, majority contractors doing like energy efficiency upgrades. I was in the real estate market. I was in guerrilla advertising. But anytime I wanted to start an idea, we spend, $10 to $20 to $30,000 in marketing with having like a minimal viable product or the service just to see if it will catch on.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, tell it to artists, like do the 90-10 rule, because like that's really what it is. Especially the more saturated industry is, the more money on marketing you got to spend out the gate to see if your product works. And music is one of those saturated.
Yeah.
Gems.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's very competitive kind of right now, like in the underground scene. Because you got, it's a lot of people trying to make the same music, right? So it's like YEET blew up, right? So I'm pretty sure you heard the name or familiar with it, right? YEET.
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Nah. So like, so all right. So look, all right. So example, I'm gonna give a short rundown. Like, okay, YEET was making music for like years, right? Putting music out, never blew up. But like last year, wasn't it last year, Drees, when he kind of blew up on TikTok and just just shot through the fucking roof?
I think like Summers, another underground artist, found out about him, and then he on with him, and then he just started to make connections within like the industry, I think. And then like, because I think he has some songs that are produced by like internet money producers, like really early,
because
and he basically grew as they grew. I think that's sort of how it went. And then on TikTok, it just kind of like expanded it all, because he had like a little kind of fan base. I feel like that can really snowball if that fan base is really strong. Because they'll post about it, and the best like it's social proof basically. Like people will see that you have fans and people like music, and they're gonna be like, oh, who is that? Like, I think I should know about them too whenever they see a post about them or whatever. So yeah, that's really what happened with YEET. It's like snowball effect.
Yeah, because the reason,
example, because you said he already had at least a small decent music.
Right. YEET has a huge catalog, guys.
Yeah,
he has a huge catalog.
He does, but the reason why I wanted to ask that, because the way that they're marketing YEET is one of the most unique things to kind of capture his fans, because most of his fans are artists and people that want to be like him as artists, right? So they're marketing him with his story is like, in most of his interviews is like, yo, I was trying to learn how to record myself. You know, I was trying to do this myself, be my own engineer, my own this, my own that. My presets was trash. So his whole marketing thing, what a lot of people gravitate to, is like he found the perfect vocal preset, and that's what blew him up, right? So that's his marketing thing. Because like if you go search YEET vocal preset, you're going to see at least 200 videos on that, and they're going to have at least 20,000 to maybe 100,000 views, because it's like that's the driving force. Every interview, I got this vocal preset, and that's when everything changed, and that's part of that's tied to his story. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, from like, I don't know, it's like I feel like that's a good marketing standpoint, because they know who his like core demo is, and it's like people that want to be like him and want to make music, and that's only going to make his influence more, because people are going to rap on his type beats, try to rap like him, try to talk like him. You know what I'm saying? So wouldn't you say like they did an excellent job of kind of like branding, like with that type of story tied to his story?
Yeah, no, I think that's very clever, because there was authenticity there, and he was comfortable talking about how he wasn't good initially and all this trials and tribulations it took to like find how to record properly and doing all that, and that's relatable, because a lot of, like I said, a lot of aspiring artists relate to that shit.
Yeah,
it's a great content to talk about, but a lot of artists are, like in their heads, like we are talking about earlier, they're not comfortable, like, nah, because I gotta look like the shit already, like I can't I have trouble recording or whatever, because what you put out is gold, right? So that's just a thing people got to get over, and like the ones that don't. But no, I think that was very clever, for sure. I like that. And I wanted to mention, because we're talking about like how else to kind of go viral or to gain a organic fan base without necessarily spending money on ads.
Yeah.
Do you guys know who Mercules is? A rapper out of Canada.
I've seen the videos.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So what he did, he just leveraged covers, but he was strategic about it. Like he would do the most popish, like Ed Sheeran would do like a pop cover, like a singing joint, and he would rap over it in like a gritty style, and like it just start getting.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. That's one of the ideas I put in like a YouTube video for people on like what they can do to try to build a fan base, is do covers or flips to the top 10 Billboard songs that people are searching for that week. You know what I'm saying? Because they change every so often, and people are gonna search for those and search for covers for those. So like that's
covers is genius. You can build a whole, like, people don't realize a lot of people have gotten signed off of covers. I believe Justin Bieber was doing a lot of covers, and Harry Styles, Shawn Mendes. Shawn Mendes got signed. I'm pretty sure he didn't even have that much original stuff out when he got a deal. Shawn Mendes.
Yo Gotti signed a girl to CMG that did covers on TikTok. She didn't have no original music. And then there was a girl at the BandLab event that got signed to like Atlantic, and she was doing covers on Instagram.
See?
You know what I'm saying? So
and that's proof that if you have attention, you really have to try to fuck it up to not monetize it, right? Just like that Cash Me Outside girl, she had tons of attention. Yeah. So if her music was horrible, it wouldn't have worked. But actually, it wasn't, at least to her, you know, demographic of fans. Yeah. They liked it. You know, we can't.
Exactly.
Yeah. Can't, but yeah, to your point, if the attention is there, Yo Gotti's smart for that. This girl probably got a shit ton of attention on TikTok. So unless they come out with her original music and it's trash, then there may be, you know,
then it would be
pivot on and like tweak it. But you know, Yo Gotti's smart enough to probably know that her original, I mean, he's got around him. Like they would have to try how to fuck it up, like I said.
For sure. Because it's like, since you know about the marketing, so like with the product, so it's like the music has to be good, right? Like it just has to be good, because you can spend, let's say, $500,000 on marketing bad music, it would never go nowhere because it's just horrible, right? So it's like, let's see.
But I do feel like it is opinion based to a certain extent, because just because I don't like it and I think it's whack, or it's some drill shit that I might not be into, there might be a whole, I mean, Matei knows about this. It's like you can find a fan base for almost anything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You can find a demographic.
You can find people, like, it is subjective, but the way you make it objective is to start identifying what demographic and what interest points on the internet like certain things about the song that you're producing, and then if you monetize it, it works. Because I'll give you another example, right? But this is like an extreme flip of what we're talking about. If you guys remember that guy on American Idol, when he did this song like "She Bang, She Bang," like the Ricky Martin, horrible, the Korean guy. He actually sold 1 million copies of his record. You could research this because he did a whole album of horrible sounding songs, but it was like a parody. And people on Christmas because it was like everybody knew it. But again, he had a ton of attention because guess what? He was an American Idol.
Yeah.
But then somebody flipped it to making it to work, right? So, but to go back to the point that the music has to be good to the people that are going to buy it and spend money. Because I hear this from artists all the time, like, man, radio plays trash and labels sound artists that sound the same. But I'm like, most labels are not stupid. They're smart. They've done their market research. So if they're going to sign an artist, they probably know that 1 million kids that are right now middle school, 13, 14, 15, will probably go crazy over that shit. And even though I don't know, you guys, I'm in my late 30s, you know, us sitting here, we're looking at it like, yeah, that's not my style, but that's the evolution of music. Every generation goes through that. So the reality is, if money is being put behind it, 9 times out of 10, that company, that label, that investor probably figured out that there's a market for it, and it works, and they are marketing the shit out of it.
Yeah, because every market is not gonna be like a super big market. Like some artists are quote unquote niche artists. You know what I'm saying? Everyone is not gonna make it to, let's say, a A tier, like super megastar, right? You know what I'm saying? Because like right now in the underground scene, from what I'm getting introduced to, a lot of underground artists, like the trap genre is kind of evolving into other subgenres. Because like Dreesh makes a type of music called like regalia, and that's similar to like plug type music in a sense, but it's like, how would you market or do something to a genre that's probably not, like, right now is still like at its earliest developmental stages for something like if an artist came to you, was like, yo, I got $20,000. This is the lane of style of music I want to make. It's not really established yet, but this is what I want to do.
So the digital marketing allows us to really understand what different interest levels of consumers out there like and what they engage. That's why it literally shifted elections. That's why Facebook is catching a lot of heat from the government, because of what happened in 2016 elections. But I'll give you an example. Let's say it's a new genre that I don't know about yet. Okay, we don't always have to go and target similar artist interests. So like if I think I have artists like Joey Badass, I'll target Joey Badass, J. Cole, you know, Tupac in the school days, whatever. If I have an artist that I don't know, let's target TV shows. But let's target like, Love and Hip Hop TV show. Do we get a lot of good conversions? Like people click on the ad, go on to Spotify to save it. If not, okay, fine. Let's target a polar opposite of whatever Love and Hip Hop is on another channel. Let's target this particular magazine, or let's target this, right? So we could target so many different things if the client has the budget for it.
Yeah.
To find out what demographic, age group, interest levels will be the most engaged, to show us the most comments generated from that, most shares, most saves, most click-through rates going into Spotify, and that's kind of how we can approach it. I can do that for any brand. I don't care what you're selling if you have a budget.
And I know y'all heard that, man. So you know what I'm saying. If y'all got a budget, y'all can holler at them. You know what I'm saying.
But most artists don't, right? So what I would say to be fair to the artists that don't have a budget, again, another way you could do this, again, it's just going to take a lot of time, is you could do it through a combination of effectively using hashtags or other tools on the social media platforms, like on TikTok. You can use a trending sound.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Reels. I was going to say that.
Posts. Yeah. Right. And you can, because there's a trending sound for a reason, and you can look at the other examples of what's using that sound, and maybe it's a combination of talking about, let's say, food and then hip hop. Okay, so now you can target, like, there's something there, you know what I'm saying? So if it's a genre of music that you don't think, because a lot of artists I know say they're like, oh, I'm so different, like nobody's out there like me. Like, all right, let's try to narrow it down. If you're saying like, rap music starting to blend with like almost EDM and then just R&B singing, okay, there's your three ingredients, right? Like you're making a cake. So you got trap, you got, let's say, R&B and soul, and you got some EDM. Can you come up with a pose that targets all three? And obviously you're not going to find on the first pose. That's where people like lose, I guess, energy, because if you tell them, okay, you got to do this shit for 6 months and you got to post twice a day and create a Google sheet and start documenting your results and comments and all that, like that's how I figured out, that. So in my program, the Indie Arts Accelerator, we have a few artists that they pay $60 a month to be in my accelerator. I have classes and all these different approaches that we're talking about. And some of them that have really low budgets, they actually have figured shit out like this through TikTok. And they're thinking like, yo, this is awesome. I'm combining rapping about X, Y, and Z with this type of stuff. We have a client that has a young son that like is really into like snacks. And he's a 6-year-old. So they started coming up to people in the street. They take a snack and then they're like, well, would you listen to my son's like raps? And then there was great content for them. It started going viral because it's a young kid. So there's so many different ways, but you just have to treat it like a business. Yeah. You have to understand this game like a business. And that's what I tell a lot of artists. A lot of artists, they're supposed to be businesses if they're going to succeed, but they're acting like consumers.
Yeah, see, and that goes to the conversation me and Gabriel had the other day. Yeah. Because a lot of artists use social media as a consumer versus the creator. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if you're the consumer, you don't know how many followers you average a week, how many views you average on your profile. If you do get streams on Spotify, what platform they're coming from? Are you getting suggested through Spotify algorithms, or is it user playlists? So it's like people don't know this. They just know I got 10,000 views, I got 10,000 followers. Like I can look at people's profiles and they'll have they won't have no post. They'll follow like 20 people, but they'll have 10,000 followers, but they have no music out. You can't find nothing on them. But I'm like, how do you have 10,000 followers? So it's like some people buy followers, they buy the plays, they buy everything to make it look like they're popping, but in reality, that's more detrimental to their career anyway.
Yeah.
2022, because everybody's doing it, everybody's doing it. There's always an evolution of everything. I was in this earlier in like 2011, 2012. I had a YouTube channel that I started called Tech Vitamins, just reviewing technology, phones, different things like that. But that's also the time I started getting the music as a producer. I had an ex that was singing, and we would do covers of certain songs, and I would use the like view generators. Like we would get like extra 5,000 views. At the time in 2011, the algorithm was set up in the way where it analyzed the views and the likes. That gave us a leverage back then, and actually worked a little bit to our favor. Nowadays, that's exactly what they don't look at.
Oh nah.
You know what I'm saying? They completely avoid views and likes, because anything that's publicly facing that could be the easiest to be faked and fake comments. But like YouTube, for example, looks at is retention time. Where are the clicks happening from? Are they, what's the conversion rate into subscribers? Because that tells them is the quality, I mean, the content quality or not, right? Like when we market, let's say I'm running an ad for you on Instagram, the views and likes are just going to be a positive byproduct of what we focus on. And what we focus on are the ratio of save rates, comments, and shares. That's the top, and then the click-through rate. So if I had to name top 4 is the click-through rate, shares, saves, and comments. That's what we're optimizing for. So if we're not generating those, then we would stop the ad and tell the artist, look, come up with better content. This is just not dope content. And we need to spend a certain amount of money to see what it generates, right? And then once we find an ad that's crushing in those 4 areas, then to the consumer on the front, that's looking at their page, then it's going to generate a shit ton of views and likes. Because if you can generate comments, shares, and saves, you can also potentially go viral off of an ad, which we had few instances of that if you had enough of a budget to get an ad to that level.
Yeah, so I got a question. I think it was something you said, right? So the ad. So when it comes to the ad, is it for the artist, or is it more so just their song playing, or would you recommend the artist create some type of visual content?
It's all kinds of stuff. Depends. Okay. I'll give you a good example on like an artist that he sounds like The Weeknd, so kind of like R&B and pop. We're marketing his song, blitzing it, running ads to just have people to go streaming on Spotify and Apple Music. And I had him create roughly about 15 different variations of like a 30-second ad to test it against each other. One was his Range Rover, squeezed his tires, got out the seat, and then started singing. That did pretty well. Another ad was like, he starts out with a plate of food and bacon and eggs, and he's like, my girlfriend just made me this dope breakfast, but guess what, guys? My new single is out, and this is how it sounds. Gets up off his chair, go around the living room and singing it. Another ad is just a 30-second snippet of his music video. Another ad, he's just like kind of pouncing on this dashboard in the car, and he's like, oh shit, you guys are watching me. And then he's like, guess what? I got a new single. I go stream it. So we did so many different creative like variations to see what catches people's attention, and then we throw a couple $100 behind it in the initial stage, shut down the ads that don't really work, and then we scale the shit out of the ones that work. But so it's not a clear answer, but having a music video, it's a decent start. But honestly, the data is showing us, especially in hip hop, because the majority of our clients are hip hop and R&B, is that when you use those cliche like official music videos with cars, girls, clothes, and all that, the comments are literally like, yo, I fuck with the music, but come on, like, can you all come up with something else? As opposed to just having the artist, like a lot of Gabe's clients, that like he sends me a few clients in there. I'll tell him, yo, go back to Gabe's studio, just have somebody get you in the booth, get the vibe in the studios. You guys are doing it. Like, I want the fans to see your face that you're rapping or singing. That's a start. Let's start with that. All the other ads that I mentioned, you can literally create those selfie style or have your manager or your cousin or your friend record you. Just mess around and see what works. But so it's never the same thing, but I would encourage any artist to get out of their comfort zone and do a lot of content besides the official music video or besides the in-studio version or whatever.
Because they need to show more of their personality too, you know what I'm saying? But the thing is, like, a lot of artists that's on the come up, I'm pretty sure if I did a poll, I would probably say at least 85% of artists never shot a music video. And it's probably the ones that's been rapping for like 3 to 5 years. They probably never even did one, even try to shoot like a real trash one either. You know what I'm saying? They probably never even shot one. So it's like, but they also sit back and wonder, like, why am I not getting fans? Why am I not doing this? But it's like, you don't want to take the risk on shooting a video. You don't want to take the risk on marketing the music. You don't want to make the content to help you market the music. Because most of the time, I feel like a lot of people don't want to be artists. They just want to say they make music just for the fact of conversation, right? So they could be a part of some type of community, so they could fit in, because there's like a lot of artist support communities for real. So it's like, maybe I don't have no friends, so I need people to talk to that can probably relate to me, and a lot of people find friends that way. But it's like they kind of use it like that. So then, so it's like when it comes to the marketing part, it's like most people be like, they don't really believe they can make it either. So it's like they don't want to market something if they feel like they're going to lose at the end of it anyway.
I mean, at the end of the day, no risk, no reward, right?
I
feel like that goes in any industry, in any whatever you want in life. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, you got to go through the mud and all, you know, all the grimy stuff to get to the beautiful things. Nothing in life that's beautiful, in my opinion, comes about easy. So it's a crazy concept that people would even think that, you know what I mean? Like, you know, everyone had to go through some to get to these dope positions, you know what I mean? Whether it's like a politician or whatever, you know?
Yeah, you can't have wins without the losses, man. You can't win every day.
Facts,
you know
You can't.
People are scared, honestly. That's what it comes down to. People are just scared of what other people, you know, like, oh, if I start promoting my music, then this person that I knew in high school is going to find out and they're going to talk shit to me. Like, no, like, in all actuality, like, none of that matters. But, you know, obviously people have their egos and are afraid to, like, show, like, that they're trying to do something because they think somebody's going to try to bring them down.
Yep. And it speaks to the fact that most successful artists are always unapologetically themselves.
Right.
They've gotten over that, you know, fear factor. You know, and it's so saturated. That's the thing artists have to understand, is that even though the music game can be very lucrative, it's also very saturated, right? A lot of kids out of, because it's so glamorous, like they want to be the artist, the DJ, the Instagram model, the YouTuber, and things like that. And there's a lot of examples of people making it even independently now, more so than ever. But they just don't understand how much work it takes. And for a lot of people that do make it independently, I'm sure all you heard the term, it took us 10 years to blow up overnight, because there was so much time and energy and a lot of times money spent trial and error, figuring shit out, falling on your face, getting back up and doing it. And most people just can't withstand it. In my opinion, that's like the whole, because me coming here as a foreigner, you know, to America, it's like there's always that like 90-10% split. You got the like 5% of the people and then everybody else. And they're like, well, why is that? It's the government and not enough opportunity and all that. And yes, there's a lot of factors that play into that, but I feel like it's just in us. It's like 10% of people are just going to go all out, and whatever they find something they're a little bit passionate about, if they go all out into that, they'll probably succeed. The rest will just find ways of not doing it, complaining, or like you said, kind of just playing this facade. Like, I really don't want to be an artist, but I'm going to say that because maybe, you know, whatever's going to happen. Yeah,
because the most common thing I get is like people like, you know, like they like, I have people walk up and show me their music and they'll be like, yeah, this is my song. If I took it seriously, I could be like Drake, right? I'm like, if you feel like that, do it. You know what I'm saying? They be like, nah, I'm too real for the industry. I'm like, do you even know the industry? What is the industry? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know anything about it, but yet you say you too real for it.
But you're not even in it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like it's crazy. And the thing, like, and what you said about like the market being saturated and stuff, because I remember sitting in a meeting with an A&R, and he was like, it's like you can go in the store, it's like 20 companies selling bread, but what's gonna make your bread stand out? What's your story with the brand? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's it gonna be? Same thing with water. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of companies that sell water, but who got the best water? What packaging? What's the bottle like? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times do you see the ad for water on TV? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it that's gonna keep you on somebody's mind? Because I was reading up on something or watching a YouTube video, and it was basically saying like, it used to be, I think, like before like social media took over, it was like a person would have to see a product like, what, 50 times or something before they would buy it. But now with social media, if a person sees it like, what, 25 times, they're more active to go and buy it. So it's like, the more you can stay on somebody's mind or get in front of a person, they're going to be more inclined to be like, I keep seeing this everywhere. So I might as well check on it. Like, so like, what's your thoughts on something like that? Like, have you ever ran across something like that with marketing? Like, how many times would a person have to see something before they feel like they just have to click on it?
Yeah, so we had my other company that I own is a software development company in e-commerce, and some of our clients are Victoria's Secret, Goodyear, the tire company, some Procter & Gamble brands up in Canada. And even though my marketing company doesn't do their marketing, but my software company, we analyze their pixels and their data through Google Shopping and all that. And for those known brands, it still takes about 4 to 12 times of repetition to get in front of the consumer to finally buy. They need to put a coupon or whatever. So that's for a known brand. Okay. Like a Victoria's Secret, marketing to female. So yeah, so a brand new person, it could vary, right? But to what you said earlier, there's levels to everything in life. There's levels to marketing.
Yeah.
Me and Gabriel, I think we were talking about this the other day. Like when you're at the level, like these insurance companies like Geico and Allstate and all that, right? They're advertising everywhere. But at that point, it's called reminder advertising. It's not like people don't know about Geico or whatever.
Yeah.
But they have to constantly run ads is because insurance is, first of all, I think in almost like 48 states, it's law. Like you can't drive without insurance. So there's a huge amount of demand for it. But it's like, even though there's probably only a dozen companies we all can make, they advertise all the time, because when you need that new insurance, because you got fucked over by the old insurance, who are you going to call? Oh, maybe it's that Allstate because that jingle or whatever you might, right? Coca-Cola. Like, I promise you, if Coca-Cola stopped spending billions a year on marketing, even as massive they are, it'll probably take like 3 years to fizzle out. But in 3 or 4 years, none of us maybe even talking about Coca-Cola. It's going to be the next soda brand that took over. Coca-Cola is just going to be studied at fucking Harvard how they failed. You know what I'm saying? So the saturation is real. You have to saturate a market. And for artists, this is where I think artists also go wrong. 90% of our clients that come to us that already have some views on their YouTube videos and things like that that said they got screwed up about another marketer, all those views are not from where they're from. So like if you're in New York, why not? I know it's expensive than marketing to like, you know, India or other countries that where they actually listen to hip hop, for example. Why don't you just target the greater New York City metropolitan area? There's like 30 million people there. Because if you focus on that for 6 months to a year and they actually become fans of you, and now you actually have, let's just call it 10,000 real fans in that New York area, could we run more ads to retarget them and convert just a % or 5% to come see at a venue? That's 100 to 500 people we're talking about now. And that's the reality, but most artists are not willing to withstand that nor grasp that concept. That's why I always try to compare music to like other tangible, like, you know, food, like donuts. I know it's not the same, but if you get out there with a food truck, are you going to market your YouTube page or your Instagram page to India and like, you know,
that would be stupid. For real, that'd be dumb.
You know, and I know music is global and is digital, but I want them to understand that concept first, because if you can't make it in your local area, and again, I don't care if you get out there on the street level or market digitally, but to that area, if you can't figure out how to make it there, then it's going to be tougher. And in fact, if you can market to your local area, that's how you get to those other revenue streams, merch, shows, way quicker than if you don't do it that way. If you just mark, you know, nationwide or like US and Canada, which is strategic sometimes, but even that, like, you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're going to have these smaller pockets of like fans. Okay, New York City, I got 2,000 fans. Okay, Houston, I got 4,000 fans. LA, I got 5,000 fans. So even if you retarget them, we're still talking in only a few percentages of converting them to come to your show and buying that ticket. Okay, so you'll get 50 people, 200 people of your own fans into a venue. Not too shabby, but how much money are you going to spend in travel to accomplish all that? And now it drops up the cost. You know what I'm saying? So there's got to be a strategy to it.
Yeah, because some of the biggest things that I'm taking away from the whole conversation is basically like artists need to understand the demo. They need to have a clear-cut budget that they're willing to spend, even if they can't spend, let's say, $20,000 a month or a year on marketing. They need to have some clear type of budget. They need to be able to create content, think outside the box, something that can separate them from everyone else. The 90-10 is definitely a good point right there. And the way that you spoke on how, like, the more, like, known brands, it takes 4 to 12 to get that person to engage with that content, that's definitely gonna stand out to a lot of people, because that should spark somebody's mind on like, yo, how can I get my content in front of the people that clicked one time or followed me? Because, you know, these algorithms on all these platforms, they do not show your content to the people that follow. They show it to other people that have the same like digital data kind of thing, like the interest, and they want to recommend it off that. Because you said earlier, because YouTube really plays off of recommended, right? I know if I have a good video is if my recommended is showing above average, right? So if that's doing better, so I'm like, okay, cool, maybe I should do more of this right now because the algorithm or people it's showing it to will like it. Okay, sometimes I follow up with it. Other times I might try something completely different to see how it affects what YouTube is trying to do. You know, sometimes the video might do well, but it might underperform and still do well, but it won't do what the last one did, you know? So I think like a lot of artists get discouraged too, because I've seen cases where people dropped a song and they did, let's say, 500 views or plays on the song, and then they stop posting because they feel like they were supposed to get 10,000. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but they only marketed the song on posting it on a story or tweeting it out that one day, and they just let it go. You know, so it's like, would you say it's better to market a song, like one song, for at least 6 months? Or like, if you really believe in the song, like how long should you market a song if you believe in it?
Yeah, so if you don't have a lot of resources and a lot of money, and with like what the one package we do at our company is that for about $1,000 in running ads in the US, we can find out that song should be worth marketed more.
Okay.
If you have a similar capability, let's say you spend a couple thousand and you're getting some good results, comments are 99% people fuck with, they love it, then yeah, you should definitely quadruple down on that song and ride it out till you can't do it no more. I could give you so many examples of how artists blew up, even though they had other songs like Fetty Wap with, you know, Trap Queen. Yeah. They just stuck on that song for a year and a half. LMA with your Boo Thing, stuck on that song for a year and a half. Cardi B with Bodak Yellow. Like, even though she was on, you know, already on the show, Love and Hip Hop, and all of that had massive attention, still that song was like, they squeezed as much out of that as they could. Then her album, you know, came. So to answer your question, absolutely. If you know you have your golden record, that shit so you can't, you know, till the data starts telling you otherwise.
Yeah, and I think that's a big problem for a lot of people, because like with the short form content world that we live in now, it's like the instant gratification. Like if it doesn't happen instantly, I think that affects like the creator's mental, you know, like so. Because basically to market and stuff, it's going to take a lot of mental capacity for this, because it's like it's a lot of trial and error. You might mess up $5,000 trying to get some traction, you know, but if people will look at it like that's a $5,000 loss versus a lesson of how to not spend $5,000. You know what I'm saying? It's all perspective.
Absolutely. I love that, because I tell people, when I started investing in the artists, because I had another good successful company, I probably lost $40,000 to $50,000 on learning what to do. Even though I knew how crucial marketing and PR was, I hired companies that I didn't do enough due diligence on, and they gave us fake views, fake comments, all this bullshit. PR companies we hired, they told us going to pitch us to Complex and all these big, you know, walls, and they came back to say, well, yeah, the artist is talented, but you don't really have nothing there yet for them to consider you. Okay, that makes sense now that you said it. Why don't you tell me that before? Like, you don't have to charge me $5, you know. So anyways, I spend that money, and most people will be, and I had business partners tell me, like, you're stupid, man, why do you keep spending money? But I want to be in this. This is my passion. Yeah. So that was my college. That was just investment of learning what I had to go through the gauntlet one way or another. And luckily, it didn't hurt as much as it, you know, hurts when I say it in the long term. But I'm here. But you're right. It's like that mentality that just has to be in you. I think you can learn it over time if you got the passion and the drive. Was when I feel like, you know, to help people learn that. Because to your point, if an artist just wants to be artist for whatever other reason, but they're truly not passionate about it, and they wouldn't be doing it for free anyhow, they might as well, you know, go to another investment sector. If they're just thinking they're going to make money off of it, that's the last industry you want to be in, to flip your money.
Yeah, because the rapper gets paid last, and like a lot of people don't like that part either too. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of rappers will be like, "Yo, I gotta buy the beat." Like what Gabriel said, that's a ban from him if you buy the beat from him, right? So that's a ban. So now you're looking at it like, okay, I'm gonna go pay for studio time with him, right? That's what. What's that, like another? That's like 500.
That's another band.
That's like another band. So it's like you have two right there for the beat, for the mix, recording time, all that, right? So it's like they'll just look at that and be like, man, I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? They'll be like, I can't do it. So it's like, or they'll pay it. Then they'll be like, yo, now I gotta give him 50% of whatever this song makes, but he's not spending money on the marketing or nothing like that. Like that's one of the biggest risks that like a lot of artists kind of like struggle with. You know what I'm saying? That's like something super, super crazy. And that creates this problem that's in the music industry too, is people doing like $5 mixes, $5 promo runs. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a lot of undercutting goes on into this. What you say with the fake views or for the fake comments and stuff like that, right? It's nothing for a scammer type of a person to go create a Spotify account, create a playlist, put songs on it, buy the followers for it, buy the streams for it, right? Now you just reach out to gullible artists and be like, yo, I can do X, Y, and Z for you, guarantee you this amount of streams, this many follows, woo, woo, woo. So like now, you know what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of artists get burned by like scammers and stuff. So it's like, how do artists differentiate between like a scammer and someone that's really professional and cares about actually their integrity with the business, like someone like you know what I'm saying? Like how do you look for those differences?
Due diligence, I'd say.
Due diligence, yeah. And it's tough if you don't know the business. But this is the simplest way. Like if you want to come like with us with our company, or even I know Gabe will do this as well, and you're like, I don't know. I actually have past clients, plenty of them, that I'm willing to put you in touch with, and you can talk to them about your experience. So like any product you're buying, if you can ask the company, are you willing to give me some references I can talk to? Because most scammer marketers, that conversation dies right there when you ask them that. I guarantee it.
Okay.
You know, who are they gonna? Of course they can act like, look, we live in this like digital world where, you know, like I know a lot of rappers went through this, like Fat Joe, Boozy Badass, Jada, because somebody took their accounts and they're like endorsing these bullshit services and all that. That's unfortunate. But again, if I was the artist, I wouldn't just be going off of seeing a Jadakiss ad saying, "Oh, this such and such company is the greatest." Go check them out. When I head up that company, I'd be like, "Yo, can you show me clients on my level that have maybe 10,000 followers or whatever that are getting started? What you've achieved for them?" Because whenever I have calls with my clients, I'll get on a Zoom call. I'll show them live campaigns we're running right now for different artists and different genres. I have no problem doing that. And if after that you don't, you have a hard time like convincing yourself that we're the right company, then you can still talk to some other people like Wendy Day or Clinton Sparks, like major people in the industry that over the years I've had the pleasure and the ability to do like work for DJ Enough in New York City. Like all of them will vouch for me, but I didn't get there overnight. It took me 4 years of doing the right stuff. And funny enough, for my company at least, the reason I started to get traction is because I was the most honest, transparent guy. That's what people tell me in the comments. So all the other marketers just selling a bunch of fluff. So you gotta know the business, and then you gotta just understand how to do due diligence on the product. Just like, would you buy a fake looking iPhone?
People do. People do. And that's the thing. Like people do.
Don't be surprised if it breaks in a week.
Yeah.
Right? Diligence.
Yeah, that's a great analogy though, for real though. But like that's really the biggest problem that a lot of people face though, because I think somebody in my server reached out to me and told me like they got scammed by somebody on a Fat Joe account allegedly. You know what I'm saying? And I guess they wiped his bank account. You know what I'm saying? Off some stuff like promising like, yo, we're gonna work with you. You're dope. We're gonna do X, Y, Z. But it's like the dude that he was talking to basically makes like Juice WRLD music, and I wouldn't think Fat Joe would want to work and develop somebody that makes like emo type music. You know what I'm saying? Like that whole little contrast, and then the account went from Fat Joe to somebody texting on like WhatsApp or something. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it went to a whole completely different middleman type of a person. You know? So it's like artists get scammed every day. So it's like it's just interesting, man, because like what you said, people need to know the business, but it's hard for people to know the business because it's people that know the business won't teach the business.
Right.
Well, hopefully panels like this will help.
But you know what? There's also books. I've learned a ton from, I don't read books, but I listen to them on Audible.
Yeah.
I learn about the L.A. Reid story, reading 50 Cent's book, Jay-Z's story, just so many like business moguls. What's his name? The guy from the Kiss, the band with the tongues, Gene Simmons.
Yeah.
All these different business moguls. And I knew a lot of that info, and I would just do it while I'm working out, so you can knock out two birds with one stone. You're getting your physical together and you listen to a dope book. So then as I actually got into the industry and started working with some of high level people and seeing it just confirmed that everything I learned there was true. But people, they won't take the initiative to go read a book by a legend or his biography, even though it's history and it's what happened in the 90s and 2000s. But they won't read that and internalize it. But they'll they'll watch some random guy that's seen his, you know, Instagram post and it sounds good. And they're like, oh yeah, let me spend $3,000 with him. You've done due diligence. Like that's also due diligence. It's not just that's why I say, like, if you don't know much about the business, any type of business, it's going to be tough. And you know, other industries prey on that as well. I got, you know, I know people that are like bullshitters, like they do coaching online. They're like, yeah, tell you how to set up a digital marketing agency, and you could be making $30,000 a month sitting in Mexico and just running these, you know, marketing campaigns and all of that. And I'm like, that makes no sense. If you have no staff of people to actually handle these clients, like who's producing those ads? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you don't ask that if you don't know about business. You're probably, you know, working a 9-to-5 miserable job trying to get out of that, you know what I'm saying, the hamster wheel, and just like you'll fall for anything, and it sucks. It happens a lot. But you know, like to me, coming here as a foreign kid, I've had, you know, I was made fun of because I couldn't talk English, like all these different things I had to go through. And nobody, we had no family here. Still to this day, all my family moved back. So I had no like actual help of like any cousin or uncle or anybody ever like teach him anything. It was just, all right, let me figure this shit out. Let me learn it. But not by watching Instagram. I think that's another thing. Like I don't have, you know, I'm 38. So when I was going through a lot of this learning, yeah, Facebook was there. Yeah, you know, whatchamacallit, not Friend Finder, those other social media right before Facebook.
MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace was there. But I don't think my generation looked to those things just yet as like an educational tool. Like we still did our hardcore research on Google and like try to listen to books or read books and all of that. And I think it's so unfortunate for the younger generations too, because they're literally like data is showing us that fucking kids are using, or young teens, young adults are using TikTok and Facebook as a search engine. And I'm like, shit, man, like you better understand how to sift through all that bullshit before you get scammed 30 times and figure out that.
I also feel like there's a big disconnect, like going off of, you know, figuring out, you know, because we have the same problems as well as far as just like people, you know, picking horrible engineers or people that, you know, producers that say that they do one thing or whatever. You know, I deal with the same concept that we're talking about. And I personally feel like a big problem is that people don't connect this industry with other industries in the sense of like, why in the world would you trying to find the cheapest price equate to you getting a quality person to work with or a quality product if it doesn't in other industries? People seem to have this concept where like, oh yeah, I can go on Google and find like, the cheapest rate possible. And then they're confused and taken aback when it backfires and they get an intern for their session, or, you know what I'm saying? So I think there's a super disconnect in like value and price, and a good, genuine human being who worked hard for what they're doing. Why would they be charging no bread for something they worked super hard and they're a genuine, passionate person who puts their all into it? Why would they charge $20? You know what I'm saying? But people have that concept, and then they're confused, like, oh, wait, why did I get fucked over? It's like, because you tried to pay someone $20 for a mix. You know what I mean? That's my opinion on it. Oh yeah, and then also, my bad. Freaking make sure to do, like, don't just pick the business or the brand or don't just pick the business or the brand. Understand there's people behind that. For example, if I was to look at Matei's business and be like, oh yeah, I like this digital marketing concept, but I don't know who Matei is, and then I buy his thing and he ends up being a dick, that's my fault. I should have dug into the business and understood who would be running my actual digital marketing campaign. Just like when you're going to a studio, people book the studio. Why would you do that if it's the engineer making you sound good? People do this all the time.
And Gabe, I know you can attest to this, right? Because a lot of producers out there and engineers, I mean, everybody gets started somewhere. I know there was a point where you were charging $15 to $20 an hour, and the people that got early, but they could verify your skill set with, first of all, booking you. I guess you got to take a risk always. If they booked you the first time, figure out you're an awesome person. Not only could you record them, you could coach them through the damn session and make a better product, but then already you had other things you can point to, say, look, I've done that. That's the finalized product. If you do X, Y, and Z, and you're willing to educate, just like I am, like I'm sure you guys are. And that's what I find, you know, if the other person is not trying to, or maybe they already hired somebody that's willing to spend this time with you, but if that company's not willing to spend a little bit of time with you to educate how their services and stuff works on a deep level, then they're just trying to get the bag, and, you know, then they shouldn't have your business, in my opinion, because I'm a very analytical person. Anything I'm buying, I'm either going to do my own due diligence, whether it's on YouTube or just reading Amazon reviews. I know even that stuff can be faked and all that, but understanding how to sift through all the information is necessary. And everybody gets started somewhere. I used to charge $30 an hour for my consulting time in the music industry. Now I charge $225. And I'm about to.
But going off of this concept, right? We're talking about charging a low amount. Mate, when you charge that amount, you were technically still a student and you were still learning. Yeah. So they're paying a lower amount because we're technically students at that point, right? If I'm charging $15 an hour to record you, it's because I don't really know how to record that well and I don't feel comfortable charging you a big price because I'm still in those beginning stages, right? So if you're paying a lower amount, you're probably going to get someone who's not really sharp yet, right? Yeah. Logically, you know?
Right. And if you're super busy at $20 an hour, it's on, like I incrementally, especially the service business. I mean, there's, you know, only so high you could go, but like, you know, raise the price and see if your business gets affected, but you got to track it as a business, you know, because I had a studio as well. I gave that business up. I mean, Gabe could tell you, it was actually too much headache to deal with a cash business and people not showing up and like having to reschedule the sessions and all that, you know, as having like 2 engineers in the studio. And I may get back into it because I feel I have better systems now that I didn't have before. But still at the time I was like, I know I can channel my energy elsewhere to another business line where I can actually deliver more value and make more of an impact than, you know, even though I love, you know, being on a good session, recording, mixing and mastering. I'll get back to it one day, but hopefully that's going to be different on my terms dealing with big artists. But it's just the way I was able to say no, because it was very difficult, because I love doing that shit, is because I'm looking at the data every month, just blaring at me like, fuck, like I made X here, I'm making Y here already. This is how much I'm making per hour here. This is how much I'm making per hour here. Like, what am I doing? If I focus on this for 6 months, I can build that, hire 2 employees, and I have more time where I make it higher. And it's very similar with an artist. It's like they got to look at this analytics. Like, doesn't make, like to your question, doesn't make sense to market a song that you truly believe in for a year. It depends. If the data shows you that the consumers love it, yes. But if the data shows that it's a mediocre joint, let go of your feelings, become a business, because businesses rarely go off of feelings. Be like, all right, you know what? I was emotionally attached to that joint because that was about my cousin and he passed away or whatever. But let me move to another song. Maybe let me try something different. Let me A and B test it, and another song, and then you still have a catalog and you learn along the way.
Yeah, because the thing going on what you said, but like a lot of artists can't separate the personal from the business, you know, because if you tell a person their song isn't good, they're gonna take that to heart because they make music for everyone, you know. That's their end game, right? They think everyone loves Drake, but it be the same people talking shit about Drake, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then I find myself into this situation where a person will be like a lyrical rapper, right? They'll be mad at someone that does quote unquote mumble rap because the person that does mumble rap has a fan base. And then they'll be like, yo, I should have their fans. I'm like, no. Like, those people like trap mumble rap. They don't want to listen to lyrical stuff, clearly. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want their fans because they're not going to engage with your music because that's not what they're looking for. You know what I'm saying? Like, people will target those type of people. They'll be like, yo, auto-tune's ruining music, because people will use other reasons to justify why they're not successful. You know what I'm saying? Because clearly there's a base for like every type of rapper, a demographic for every type of music that's out here, because we got boom bap music like Griselda, right? The gritty New York vibe is back, right? With them, there's people like that. You can find fans of those people. Even in the battle rap community, there are people that's getting fans and traction in the battle rap community because they know, okay, these are the battle rap outlets. I need to be involved in these scenes. I need to be trying to get in front of these type of people. You know, like the battle rap people aren't concerned with the mainstream hip hop scene, right? They don't care about those fans. They only cater to their niche audience, and they want to become an authority in that, you know? So it's like, I feel like it's all about becoming an authority in a niche that's not super, super competitive. And then you build that up, right? And then you become the big fish in that, right? And you kind of set the standard for that and how it moves forward and how it grows, right? But it's like, the only way you can build that is if you're consistent, you're constantly staying in front of these people, keeping them engaged. So it's like you can put out a shitload of content and you can spend a shitload of money to really dominate, you know? So it's like artists now, they have it so much easier. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very easy, but at the same time it's hard because it's like it's very competitive.
I agree. But you had up a few points that I want to talk about because like I think entitlement is one thing that people have to get over, right? Separating business from your mental. Yeah. The artists have to do that, and if artists are not willing to put their business cap on, they're just not going to make it. There's a very low chance they will, unfortunately. They have to realize that, right? Because businesses don't operate off of that. And if I had to give 3 ingredients for what not to have in order to make it, don't have entitlement. It's like feeling like, oh, like you said, their fan base got to be my fan base. No. Yeah. Make them your fan base if you believe that. So no entitlement. Don't find excuses and blame people, you know, and don't procrastinate. Yeah. Which would be because you want to be trying to be perfectionist, whatever, a lot of things. But if you can eliminate those 3 out of your, you know, your mental traits, or you just don't use those because businesses use those, you know, like businesses are not entitled. They're not whatever. They just execute. They spend money to make money and all of that. Yeah. That's going to help artists become, you know, having that like mental capacity to make it. Because I think to me, like I didn't start as a successful entrepreneur. I had a lot of like fails as well, but I always looked at it as a lesson. But I do know some people that started the same way I did, always, you know, hustling, doing like this business, that business. Yeah. They also at the same time, they had the drive, but they always complained about it and this and that, and they could withstand those years of really trying to make it. They went and to be comfortable, just got a 9 to 5. They're doing well at the 9 to 5, you know, but they couldn't withstand that pressure and that like constant potential fail and having that responsibility. So and the thing that you was just sitting there talking about though with that is like a lot of artists, they don't want to. It's like the risk factor, or like what you're saying with procrastination too. It's like a lot of rappers won't put out music or won't market the music because they'll be like, yo, my mix is not right? But coming from a business standpoint is if the mix is the only thing that's holding you back, you can pay that to get the product out, right? Because Coke is not going to sit back and be like, oh, we can't package it. So what would Coca-Cola go and do? Find a company that can package it and ship it, right? If they couldn't do it, so it's like, you want to pay it to get it out, right? See, but like it goes back to a lot of people use that as a defense mechanism to procrastinate, to avoid putting the music out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's literally one of the biggest problems right now. And then like a lot of people get upset because of the people that actually was like, okay, I'm either learn how to mix it myself or I'm gonna pay it. You know, because like if you knew that paying, let's say like if you're an artist, and if you knew paying Gabriel $500 to mix your song, and that's all the song needed to make you $10 million to get you a deal or something like that, you'll pay it, right? Like if you knew it, like if you knew it, like you'll be like, okay, shit, pay 500, get 10 million, fine. But it's the uncertainty of the future that holds people back, you know. So it's like, it's crazy, you know. And then it goes back to the YEET conversation. Like they could be like, yo, I could spend $50 on the YEET preset and boom, I can be famous then, you know what I'm saying? But it's just like, I don't know, man, like it's interesting. Business is risky. And one more thing I want to say to that is that a lot of artists, I've heard this from a lot of artists, they think that music, like let's say you want to be a hip hop artist, a rapper, they think rap is a commodity, meaning that there's so much demand for rap that as long as you start rapping, you're decent, you're going to go. What they don't realize is that music is not a commodity, it's a luxury product. Yes, we need music, but Beyonce wasn't Beyonce until they marketed Beyonce. Yeah, we could say there's a demand for R&B music, sure. But somebody's going to take that demand. You know, if you don't, like somebody's going to supply to that demand. You're a luxury item. You're just like, you know, a commodity is like rice or beef or cattle, shit like that. But is McDonald's a commodity? No, McDonald's is one of 300 brands that you can choose on every single day to go eat at. And if they don't do shit ton of marketing, you're going to go somewhere else that's either going to be more convenient for you or is going to feed you and be hungry, right? But like, if you're producing cattle, as long as you make tons of fucking beef, you don't even market. You just need connections to a government agency or to the state, you know, whatever license department to say we can get licensed and we can distribute it because there's a demand from companies like McDonald's and 300 others to buy your, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want artists don't think you're a fucking commodity. You're not a commodity. You have to create your own brand, right? And I know a lot of dudes used to come through my studio. They're like, yo, we could push whatever we're in the street, you know, like weed, whatever they're selling. It's going to be super easy to market the music. I'm like, no, weed is already in demand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like try selling this purple bubble gum on the street. Like, you're the purple bubble gum. Until you create a demand for this purple bubble gum, people are not going to want and go crazy after this purple bubble gum. So you got to create the demand. That's business 101.
Yeah. Branding is key. And I think they got to understand that.
Yeah, and that's why, like, me and Gabriel had a conversation all the time about, like, the presets and shit. Like, I tell him, like, yo, like, it's a demand for this shit. I don't blame the people that's taking advantage of the people. You know what I'm saying? It's a demand for it. So it's like, shit, like, and you're feeding out these people fan bases. So it's like, if I had 10,000 people that was diehard Travis Scott fans, right? And it was like, yo, I want to make music just like Travis Scott. I could sit there and throw on some reverb, make that shit very like Travis, like, you know what I'm saying, a little delay or some shit with some distortion and be like, yo, and me do like a copy or just a replica of like a Travis cadence or something and be like, yo, you can sound like Travis for $100 if you buy this, da da da. You know what I'm saying? It's a supply and demand. You know what I'm saying? But to me personally, I wouldn't do that, you know what I'm saying? Because of me, I couldn't really just sleep knowing like, yo, this shit not gonna help them for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the supply demand, I understand all of that, but it's like, I don't think the artists understand it themselves because they don't know themselves. You know, they don't know what they really want. You know what I'm saying? I mean, then like a lot of people along the journey where it's like, I gotta find myself. I'm trying to find myself. Because I've known people that's been trying to rap since they was like 20, you know what I'm saying? And like they'll be like 34, 35, and they're still trying to find the sound. I'm like, bro, you've had so long to try to find something. You know what I'm saying? So, what'd you say?
Like that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, because they're like a lot of people right now. They hop on trends. You know what I'm saying? They chase what's trendy. They're trying to attach themselves to something that's trendy. And, you know, trends with the music changes faster than ever now. It's like you got 6 months to a year and it's a new sound. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's a new artist. TikTok is pushing something new. It's a new dance. It's a new genre coming up. You know what I'm saying? Drake threw out a dance album. Beyonce threw out a dance album. You know what I'm saying? Now people are trying to do Jersey Club. You know what I'm saying? Like, now people are getting introduced to house music. That might be a thing moving forward. Like, they're speeding up music now. And like, and it brings me to this point. Like I told artists before, it's like, now you see TikTok has people doing sped up versions or slowed and reverb versions of songs. That's a perfect way to get in now with marketing your music, because a lot of artists that's not like in the know of it, they're not going to have this out. Now you can put out your album, the sped up version, your song, the sped up version. Song might be better sped up than what it is naturally. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
like an opposite of chopped and screwed back in the day.
Yeah, see, they like the chopped and screwed. They're not chopping it no more with it, but now they're slowing it and just adding reverb to it.
Yeah, we're speeding it up.
Yeah, and people are going crazy with it.
Yeah, I've seen songs go viral on TikTok because of the sped up version and not like the actual version. So then when they go and release it, like people hear the song and they're like, wait, this doesn't sound like the snippet on TikTok or the sound on TikTok. Yeah. And then they go and release the sped up version, and then that's kind of how that came to be.
Like Summer Walker just released her first album, but it's sped up.
Oh, for real?
That's hilarious.
That's gonna be like a thing going forward. Like in 2023, you're gonna see a lot of artists drop sped up versions of their hit songs, albums, and stuff again. And people on TikTok right now are getting away with uploading the sped up versions because the sped up versions avoids the copyright right now until they come up with a way, because everything changes, even the slowed and reverb version.
Yeah, the pitch, it gets pitched up. Yeah.
I used to do that when we reproduce like instrumentals for covers. I would change the octave or progression and like speed it up or slow it down a little bit, and still there's. But and to that point, you should certainly, anybody that wants to should take advantage of like that trend. That's like capitalism to me. Like that's awesome. Like leverage it, take advantage of it, help it get your fan base to a whole other level. And then if you feel like, okay, I just used it as a marketing tool to get me to the next level, but I really wanted my fans to listen to XYZ, then you got all the luxury you want. Now you have 100,000 fans that are actually engaged with you. Give them what you think is really you. Give them your real brand. 50% gonna like it, 50% will probably still stay and say, okay, it's cool, whatever. But why not? I'm a huge fan, fan of trends, as long as you're doing it right and you're transparent about it. Like in our world, like me and Gabe, I wouldn't want to use a trend to be looking like a scammer, and then just to get pay and then all that, right? So it's all gotta be considered. But for an artist, you're making music, you're making content, so you got way more. That's what I love about the music industry for artists. That's why it's crazy to me that we've never had so many tools to make it independently. Like you said, I truly believe as well that it's never been easier to make it if you know what you're doing. And the fact that you're creating content, you're a musician of any sort, there's like 2,000 different ways you can do this. You have that much creativity you can put into it. You're not like an iPad that has to be engineered and gotten out of the factory, put on the shelf, and has to be everything meticulously and properly made. Like you can make a new song every single day. You can experiment, do whatever. There's so much ability, so much. And
that could possibly be one of the like factors that contributes to artists not wanting to pay much for marketing, because you got to think, for $20 a year you can upload unlimited songs to Spotify, Apple Music, right? You know what I'm saying? Market. Yeah, but I'm saying, like, you gotta think, like, okay, so they'll be like, okay, I can upload as many songs as possible, or they'll be like, it's $20 to do that, right? Every year. There's beat subscription platforms popping up now where you can pay $10 a month and get stems and whatever for like 5 beats maybe a month for $10, right? So they're starting to see like the cheapest ways to go about creating the music, right? So now when it comes to marketing the music, they expect the cheapest way to market the music. You see what I'm saying? So it's like they don't want to invest really in any money, because like if I was to go on Google right now and be like, yo, Spotify marketing, I'm going to find at least the first page is going to be full of pages that's going to say like, okay, $5, 2,000 plays.
That's a fact.
Playlist. Bunch of bullshit.
You know what I'm saying? Or $5, 200 Spotify followers, Apple Music followers. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to people that don't know and they think like, okay, it's $20 it's very cheap for me to upload the music. It's cheap for me to go and record the music because I can go and buy a bundle now for like $400, right? They're looking at everything as being cheap. So now I can be cheap with the marketing, but they don't realize that they're buying like snake oil marketing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like everything, so it's like when it comes to quality, so it's like, I know Gabriel would say quality recordings, right? From his space, like you want to use quality production, everything, make sure that's quality. So like for artists on the come up, the marketing should be quality as well. You know what I'm saying? So despise like the super cheap guaranteed marketing, because I always look at it like, I tell people like, yo, if the person can guarantee you a certain amount of streams, plays, comments, don't do it.
Right.
Like
it's always big if they can guarantee it. You can't make human beings do anything.
Yeah, you can make the robots though. You know what I'm saying? And like I found myself going through like a lot of like unsigned artists like pages and stuff from time to time. Like I ran across a videographer and he does like on the spot performances, and I looked on the likes and comments on all the videos. For the most part, like a lot of videos was averaging like 300 to maybe 600 views. Then one video stood out around like 6,000 or whatever. And then when I went to the comments, it was all bot comments. You know what I'm saying? He's doing a rap performance, but the comments are saying, yo, this is my favorite guy from the rock band. Yo, they was like, yo, it's 2022 and this song still hits. I'm like, yo, I'm like, this ain't right. You know what I'm saying?
Big bro, and it's a video.
Yeah, like it's crazy, man. Like there's like, this song is so beautiful, it brings tears to my eyes. I'm like, really? I'm like, somebody went and bought some comments so they can look like they're more popping than everybody else on this site. So it's like, okay, I can spot the comments are fake. Most people can't. Wouldn't know, right? If they don't understand what goes on. Because if you search the artist's name, you won't find no other songs from the artist. It's just that one video. So it's like, you wanted me to believe like you don't have no music out, but you did this and you got this many views, this many comments, this many likes. You know what I'm saying? But everything else on this channel is dead pretty much. So it's like, it's very interesting because I see like, cause me learning more YouTube stuff and how like the ins and outs of how everything works on the back end, it's easy to log on to accounts like Social Blade and pull up people's pages to see if they're botting views, botting subscribers, comments and stuff like that, because it shows y'all the back end data, you know? So
the Social Blade have, because I've used to use Social Blade, they only see, they do a ratio of like views to likes, which you could buy. Do they tell you which countries is coming from and how many click-through rates or profile visits the page is getting?
I think probably on the premium it might unlock other things, but it will let you know how many, because I know you probably familiar with how many subscribers it'll get, right, every month, right? Because you can go in there and see how many subscribers they get a month, what's consistent within that. You can track how many views they get a month and check that. So in most cases, you could tell somebody botted views because like, okay,
their retention span is slow. Like if they only watch 10%, like,
yeah, you know, or if you go to the Social Blade and you see like the curve, right, the video might be dead for the first 2 weeks, right? Okay. Then all of a sudden it jumps up. It's a spike in views on that channel that jumps up to like 50,000. Right. Then it all of a sudden dies down the next day. You know what I'm saying? And then it never does anything else. So it's like, that's a clear indication. It's like, okay, this person bought something.
Yep.
You know?
Right. Or when it looks too fake, like, yeah, if it's not organic, because usually, even if it does spike up, like I had a video go viral because the topic I was talking about actually got really saturated a couple months later. It did have a spike. It wasn't like one day, boom, and then it fell off. It had a spike and a slow kind of died off.
And in most cases, the ones that I see they have the spike and the instant fall off, those are the ones that usually they're botting it because the same day or the month, the subscribers don't go up at all. Yeah. You know, so it's like if you get 100,000 views on the video, you're probably gonna get at least 100 subscribers off that one video. At least. You know what I'm saying? Because with Ace, he has a reaction channel. You know what I'm saying, on YouTube. So it's like he understands like reaction videos get a shitload of views.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They get a shitload of subscribers too. So it's like it, you know what I'm saying? It fluctuates. So it's like a lot of people where I'm from, they're not really tied in or understanding like how none of this digital shit really goes, how this music goes, because it's a lot of he say, she say type things, right? Because the blind leading the blind. You know? Yeah. So it's very difficult for people to like understand some of this stuff, you know?
Yeah, facts, yes.
No, you're right. You know, that's why I ended up doing that indie artist accelerator thing that I had. For the longest time, artists were hitting me out like, well, we can't afford your marketing service. What else do you have? But then it took me years to put all that knowledge together, the live Q&As. And that's, you know, what I'm passionate about. Like, teach your customers the business. And then if they learn it, they'll probably put more quality into everything they're doing. They'll understand what it takes to put more quality into it. And then if they actually get the right information to get themselves to the next level, they'll probably hire you or work with you after that anyhow, which is that's a lot of our accelerator members. Initially, they just start on their own as they get to the next level, then they hire my team, you know, because then they know how it needs to be done and they have other things to worry about, hopefully. But the education starts with everything in any industry. I remember when I used to be a real estate agent as well, so many scams going on, but I felt like the amount of money you first of all had to get licensed in the state of Maryland was $2,000. There was no way to do it cheaper. It eliminated a lot of bullshit because it already gave like this threshold that it's just to get started as a agent, you had to get, you know, the $2,000 license basically, You had to get with a broker, which was $600 a year. There were all these costs to do it legit.
Yeah.
And, you know, it eliminates a lot of people who just watch like Grant Cardone, aspire to be a real estate agent and, you know, commercial real estate broker. Like, yeah, I want to make money like that. Once they figure out what they have to get into it just so they can put on their Instagram, I'm a real estate agent, they're like, no. Imagine, like, let me ask you guys this. What do you think would get a lot of artists to stop in their tracks, be like, shit, I don't want to be an artist? Like, what if this industry was regulated? Like, what could be the one thing that could, like, vet artists to weed out a lot of bullshit and just get the serious people in the industry?
Shit. I can't say, like, it's a money thing, because most of the time I've had to record people that had the money that was ass. That was some of the worst people to record, but they had the money. You know what I'm saying? And then you have the dopest person, but they don't have the money or nobody to front the money. So I'm thinking, like, can't really say. In some cases, you could say the equipment or the gear, but that depends on the person using it, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what could be something that could keep people, like, I don't know, maybe if they had to go to school for it, right? Like, go to a music
artist. You could say, if you can't, in 3 years, if you can't pack a venue with 200 of your own fans, you have to be your own fans, not no like showcase. And you can go to culinary school to be a chef. You can also go to, you know, Berkeley School of Music or like Full Sail and learn how to be a drummer, producer, or an artist. Then from, you know, where to go from there. Okay, are you gonna work as a chef for a restaurant? Cool, maybe you could do that if you have that schooling, right? Even if you're a vocalist, you could be hired. You could be a union musician. You could be Gabe. You could be hired for shows as a background singer. In fact, that's how Mariah Carey, a lot of people, I've read her book, a lot of people don't understand, she got started as a background vocalist, right? And they were actually looking for those. Like, there's demand for that. Studio will put out, like, come to an audition, we need a bunch of a background vocalist to take them on the show. That's how she got her start. So all these different things can happen, right? But if you're a chef and you want to be that whoever the guy's who's like the top chef out there, I don't even know, but let's say you aspire to be that man had to go through, you know, I don't know, probably working at 10 restaurants, then finally starting his own, maybe being successful. Then he had to acquire a team. Then he had to figure out how to pitch to networks to have a show and all of that. Like, it took such a long time, right? But there's like a reality that maybe artists can relate to that. Like, just because you're passionate about cooking or just because your grandma makes the best, I don't know, apple pie in New York State, does that mean she can run a restaurant? Because there's demand for her apple pie every Thanksgiving. But is there a demand that you can run a restaurant, you know, downtown Syracuse or whatever?
Yeah, like, it's a different
thing that, you know. But it's crazy out there. You know, I just wish if artists just understood the business on a better level a little bit, I think a lot of them would at least go through the tough learning quicker to figure out, like, damn, there's no true demand for my product. Like, I can buy all the figures I want, but I can't get 20 people to my show. Wow. What am I doing?
Because, like, it's an interesting thing, because I've been kind of like trying to tap in and follow like the underground and kind of see like what's like the next wave of like underground artists is gonna be, like the Gen 3 of the SoundCloud era, but it's more like on YouTube right now. I think right now YEET is the only artist that's sold over 30K out of the newer artists, and everyone else, I think, besides like Summers, I think everyone else is sold under 10K. They don't even register on the charts for their projects. But if you go and look at their streams, like on SoundCloud, Spotify, they're doing millions and millions of streams, but they can't sell 10K.
It's easy to buy those streams. Go on their Apple Music.
Yeah.
Every time a client comes to us with someone coming to us with 500,000 million streams, but they got them the wrong way, not intentionally. Some of them got scammed. But every time an artist tells me how many Spotify streams, I'm like, I don't give a fuck about your Spotify. Go to your Apple Music or Amazon Music. Tell me how many streams you got there. And it's like, damn, man, I got a million streams on Spotify, but I got like literally 1,200 on Apple Music. So it never so there's no demand there. Okay. And Spotify does it on the purpose. Like, it's unfortunate, but Spotify created this like scammy environment where all these third-party playlists get bots. They convince artists to get on there. It fucks up their accounts, which is, it sucks, because we get a lot of clients with horrible data to a point where it's going to take them tens of thousands of dollars of true, real marketing to real people to reset the algorithm, to really have the algorithm start recommending their songs to other, you know, interested listeners through like the algorithmic playlist, Discover Weekly, and, you know, all the other ones. and it sucks because they literally invested money to fuck themselves further, and now they got to spend more money to market the real way to get out of that, right? But like if you start marketing that's another way to discover if a marketer is fake or not. Ask them, can you show me some case studies about Apple Music? Because I do that all the time, but you can't show case studies of Apple Music marketing unless I have clients that gave me the permission to log into their accounts and pull up their data, because Apple Music doesn't show you anything on the front, right? It doesn't show you how many
monthly listeners or anything like that. It don't show monthly. So basically you're saying like artists starting out, they really need to focus on the Apple Music more so than like Spotify. Okay.
If you focus on Apple Music and you make it there, you automatically make it everywhere else. It is true that Spotify is probably the biggest. Look, in the United States, the way the data breaks it down, and you can study this, look this up, 95 or 93% of streaming is literally split almost evenly now 3 ways between Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music. Amazon Music has caught up a lot in the last 2 years.
Okay.
7% gets split between like Tidal, Rhapsody, Napster's even out there, believe it or not, SoundCloud, Pandora, all these other smaller ones. That's the market share in the U.S.
Okay.
It may differ around the world. So if you look at it, only a third of your fans in the U.S. are probably on Spotify. But hold on, put that on the side for a second. Go after Apple Music, because in order to get listeners and streams on Apple Music, you have to go after real people that have, you know, Apple devices with Apple Music on it.
Yeah.
You can't buy, or maybe you can. I'm sure there's some scamming software coming to figure out how to do fake like Apple Music streams. But even think about it from that perspective, you cannot get a free Apple Music account. You can get it for free for the 30 days and then pay, right? But if you had to set up a bot farm, you can't even get enough free Apple Music accounts and put them on 10,000 cell phones sitting on the rack to generate fake streams like bot farms work. But you could do that with Spotify, SoundCloud. You can get a free Spotify account. You can get a free SoundCloud account.
Yeah.
That's why it's so easy to fake all that shit. So yeah, I would tell artists, don't fall into that FOMO. Don't fall into the bullshit Spotify world.
Yeah.
Focus on Apple Music and Amazon Music. Can you make it there? If the answer is yes, you're gonna be, if you do the right things moving forward, you're gonna have a lot more success than any other artist.
Okay, yeah, that's dope right there, because I'm starting to really kind of dive into like how Spotify works and what the streaming platforms would be better for artists, and that's something I'm definitely that's a dope gem right there to actually tap into right there for sure.
Yeah, especially in the U.S., because in the U.S. it's like half and half. If you just take Spotify and Apple Music. In fact, because of all the data I have, for rap and hip hop specifically, there's a little bit more listeners in the United States on Apple Music than on Spotify. I think it has to do with the culture, the fashion, all of that. They're more likely to get iPhones compared to Android users and things like that. So more actual fans, listeners come from iOS devices in the U.S. when we talk about hip hop and R&B in particular.
Okay.
And all the rappers want to focus on Spotify. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's not a huge difference. It's maybe like 55-45.
Yeah.
You know, maybe like 60-40 at most difference. And people are like, well, how do you get that data? I'm like, maybe I'm wrong, but look, I have at least at this point 100 different accounts just this year that I looked at. Some clients that are really doing well, and I'm seeing that every time we run real campaigns, and those artists are not only using us as a digital marketing company, but they're also having street teams out there, and they're doing all those other things the right way, the networks, they have a good manager and all of that. Every time I compare those hip-hop artists, it's the Apple Music ends up being pretty damn strong. Sometimes stronger than the Spotify. So it's interesting to see. And you're right, artists wouldn't know that unless they talk to somebody like me, or if a label is willing to give that information, but they won't. Because they got, contract with Spotify to mimic the numbers. And look, there's a little bit of truth to the fact that the regular consumer, because unfortunately I have to say consumers for the most part are dumb, they see something with 1 million next to it and something like 500,000, what are they going to click on? And that's to my point, that's how the YouTube algorithm used to work. But it doesn't work that way, just off of views. So there's a little bit of truth to that, but I've never seen an artist like blow up because they faked a shit ton of views and their music was even good, and somehow the real people started to notice. I've never seen that on the real level.
See, we in a weird place now, because like fans are getting a kick out of trying to expose their favorite artist for view botting or for fake comments. Like, I recently came across a YouTube channel that like they claim they're a person that works for a record label that does digital marketing, that has to go and buy the views and comments for certain artists, but they're voice changer, different everything, exposing some of the scams that people run to help make people look like they're hotter than what they really are. So like, it's interesting.
Now I'll tell you why major labels, you know, I also do, because I know they do. I don't want to hide the fact that they do, but here's why they do. So if you're talking about A-list and B-list artists, they're already going to get millions of real fan streams, attention, and views. So if you sprinkle another millions of fake bots on top of it, now they're competing with like Roddy Ricch going against Justin Bieber Friday, who sells the more albums. So 30% of each one of their streams across, like, you know, across different platforms may be fake, but guess what? If one gets #1 spot for the week compared to the other, guess what they're going to get? They're going to get a shit ton of free press. And that press drives real sales. But if you're independent, none of that is helping you, because your ratio is that 99% of your shit is fake and 1% is real, and that screws up your platform, and you have nobody already paying attention to you. So it's not going to generate nothing else. It's not going to trick nobody. You know, it's not going to get no blogger or no influencer channel to talk about your numbers, because you're not even that level where those numbers matter. So yes, labels do pump the fakeness into it. I think that'll change, and not all, because I work with some country artists where they don't even want to touch that. And because these platforms are starting to get smarter, like Instagram and YouTube, like you know about YouTube, once they see any type of flow, what I call the dirty data, they'll start like limiting of what you could reach even organically, even if you do the initial good metrics, like the initial comment, the initial subscribers off the video. They'll limit it because you've been participating in some bullshit strategy.
That shadow ban will be real. Yeah,
that's how shadow ban happens. It's just you're using you're basically trying to trick your consumers, and these platforms are getting smarter, right? Because this is what Instagram has to battle with every day. How do we make Instagram an actual really good platform for real human beings to interact on and spend as much of their minutes of their day on? But how do we also allow advertisers to advertise as much as we can handle and make money for, because we need to make money? Imagine if Instagram, literally every second post was an ad. Consumers would fucking leave. Somewhere else. So they have to keep a balance. So there's a real demand, you know, for advertising there. But that's what they're battling. So it also goes to the fake bullshit. If they see that too many accounts are fake and they're, you know, tricking users and all of that, they will battle those strategies. And I've seen them over my years of marketing. I've seen so many like trick strategies that got basically banned. And not only did those things get banned, or basically the platform prevented software developers to use those tricks, also the accounts that were sort of implicated in using those strategies ended up getting shut down. I've seen with real eyes, like fake blue check marks, buying it for $6,000. Once they called that developer at Instagram and they fired him, those accounts went down with it. I was there talking with the manager, like, yo, we invested 10 G's into this fucking account. They took it down, bro. What are we gonna do? I'm like, I told you not to do it.
It ain't really nothing you could do about that at that point, because see, it's people that kind of figured out how to kind of game the Instagram verification system, because they kind of figured out you need to get in some notable publications, some articles written up about you that kind of like show that you're actually a person of interest. And or like people go the way that you said, and they'll just pay like 10,000, 15,000 to get verified there, just for the status of the way of looking on, you know what I'm saying? So, but it's all about looking versus being lit, right? Because there's a lot of artists that has millions of followers, does millions of streams, but it takes 10 people on a ticket to sell out a 500 person venue. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's why I feel like Russ talks so much shit the way he talks shit, because he can sell out a stadium with no problem. You know? And he does the streams, but like, he can go do it by himself. He don't need to take 5 other artists with him. You know? So it's very interesting, man. But I appreciate you taking out the time, man, to talk and have this panel, man. I'm pretty sure people gonna pick up some real gems from this shit, for real.
Appreciate you.
A lot of gems.
It's just,
a lot of gems.
It's just up to them if they're gonna apply it.